Okay, so in the past couple of days, we were talking about different transformation of the original quadratic function. So y equals squared, that's your original function. And what happened to it if I add transformation? How many letters did we talk about? Three. A, H, and K, right? So when I put them all together, so I would have equals ax minus h squared plus k, right? It looks like this. Still quadratic because it's degree 2 on the top. Good. Now, what did we say about h and k yesterday? What do they make up? They make up the vertex. That's right. So they make up the x and the y value of the vertex. And that's why we call this format of the equation, of the quadratic equation, we call it the vertex form. Okay? So this is called, remember I told you at the beginning that there's 3 forms for quadratic, and I said I'll be talking about them during the semester, right? This first form that we're going to talk about is called the vertex form. And it is called the vertex form because you can find the vertex from it. Yes? We said that h and k are the vertex, make up the vertex. Are we okay with this? What do you mean? So the vertex is x and y, right? So a vertex point, a point. A vertex is a point, right? Remember if I said, if I have this, right? My vertex is right here. It's a point. It's x and y, right? So it's h and k in the equation. Yes? All right. So if I give you this, for example, if I say y equal 2x minus 3 squared plus 5, can you tell me what the vertex is? 3, 5, right? So the vertex is 3, 5. Yes? Because technically speaking, this is the same thing as y equals x minus h squared plus k. It looks exactly the same format. Put your hand up if you understand this. Good. So, remember that if it's written in that format, I can right away locate my vertex. And remember that whatever is inside the brackets, it's the opposite sign, right? So if I'm going to give you another example, y equal negative 5x plus 1 squared minus or plus 3. What would be your vertex here? So the vertex is negative 1, 3. Okay? Good. Now, this is called, what do we call this format again? Vertex form. Right? It's called the vertex form because I know the vertex from it. Okay?
Sorry, which one is called the vertex form?
This form. This form. Right? When it's written in that format, we call that format the vertex form. Are we okay with that? Good. Now, let's get back here. Okay, I'll get back here. Now, what if I, instead of giving you this equation, y equal 2x minus 3 squared plus 5, instead of me giving you this, if I tell you, or if I give you a graph, and I ask you to find me the equation of the graph. So we're working backward here, okay? Usually, I give you this, and I tell you, state the transformation, right? That's what I usually say. That's what we've been doing the past couple days. And I usually ask you to graph. Yes? Now, what you would do, you would state the transformation. You say there is a vertical stretch, there is a horizontal translation, 3 units to the right, there is a vertical translation, 5 units up, right? And then you find the vertex, you find your step pattern, you graph. Yes? That's what we've been doing yesterday and the day before. Now I'm going to give you the opposite. So we're going to have the graph, or we're going to have points, and then we're going to find the equation. So we're going to work backward. Okay? So let's look at this. Can I go back now? Yes. All right. So here's the question. You have the vertex of a parabola is 3 and negative 7, and it also passes through the point 1 and negative 5. State the equation of the quadratic, and then that's the question, okay? So the question is asking you to state the equation of the quadratic, okay? What information did they give me? They gave me the vertex and another point, okay? So since they gave me the vertex, that means I have to use the vertex form. As of now, you only know the vertex form. But later, when you learn the other two forms, you have to decide which form do I use, okay? But because they're giving you the vertex, you know that you're going to have to use the vertex form, okay? So here's the vertex form. I know the vertex, which is 3 and negative 7. Where do I plug it? So where do I plug in for h?
For h, and minus 7 is for k.
That's right. So remember that the vertex is hk. We talked about that yesterday, and we reviewed it today. Vertex is hk. So because this is my vertex, I'm going to replace h with a 3, and I'm going to replace k with a negative 7. So y equals a. So the first step is writing the general form, which I've already written it for you. But on a test or on a quiz or whatever, you're going to have to write it yourself. You're going to have to remember it. It's right here on the green sheet. It's right here on this sheet. Okay? It is everywhere. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So first step is to write the general form. Then you're going to start plugging in information. So y equals a x minus, and then I'm going to replace h with a 3 squared, and then instead of plus k, it's going to be minus 7. Am I done? What am I missing? The a value. I don't know what the a value is, and I need to find it. I can't leave it as a. Right? So that's why they gave me another piece of information. Right? They gave me that the graph passes through this point. And that point is going to decide what my a value is. Okay? So that point is xy. Any point is xy. Okay? So that point is xy. If I plug in the x and y into my equation, I can solve for a, because that will be the only letter I have left in my equation. Does that make sense? Okay, so here's what's going to happen. So I'm going to plug in the x in for the x, the y in for the y. So I will have negative 5 equals a 1 minus 3 squared minus 7. So you see, by doing so, the only letter I have left in my equation is a. So my job right now is to isolate for that a. Are we okay up to now? So first I wrote my general form of the vertex. I plugged in my vertex in for h and k. Then I plugged in the second point in x and y to solve for a. Now my job is to solve for a. How do you solve for a? What do you have to do first before you can solve for a? Do the bracket. Simplify, right? Good. So I'm going to have to simplify it inside the bracket first. So that's going to be 1 minus 3, that's negative 2 squared. Are we okay with that? Then after doing my bracket, I have to do my exponent. So that's going to be negative 5. A times 4. A times 4, right? Now, instead of writing A times 4, can I write 4A? Yeah, because like if I write it this way, don't write it here, right? It's going to be a little confusing. So it's easier if I write it as 4A minus 7. Okay? So you see now it looks nice and neat. How do you solve for A? So bring the negative 7 over. That's right. Bring the negative because you want to isolate for that A. Right? So you want to leave that A by itself and then move everything away from it. So first thing you're going to move away from it is that negative 7. By moving it over, it's going to become plus. Good. Because it's the opposite operation right now. Okay? If you want to get rid of a negative 7, you add 7. So it's going to be 2 equals 4A. What would be your last step? A equals to half, because you're going to divide by 4, right? You have 4 times A. To get rid of that 4, you're going to have to bring it over. It becomes 2 divided by 4, right? Which is okay? Because to get rid of that 4, which is 4 times A, the opposite operation is division. So you bring it over as a division. So it becomes 2 divided by 4. I see some faces that are looking at me. No, because you want to isolate the A. So you want to get rid of whatever is with the A, right? You don't want to get rid of this. You want to get rid of this, right? Think about it this way. I'm just going to ask you a question. If you have 4 times something equals to 2, what would that something be? It can't be 2, right? Because 4 times 2 is not 2. 4 times 2 is 8, right? 4 times what gives me 2? 0.5, right? And that is 4 times 0.5 is going to give you 2. Should make sense. Your answer should make sense at the end. No? Why are you looking at me like this? Can't do this. All right. So it turned out that A is equal to a half. So I can write it as y equal 0.5 or a half. You can write it whatever you want, whichever way you want. It's x minus h, so it's x minus 3 squared minus 7. So what I did in the last step is I rewrote the first one, but with the value of A instead of the letter A. Just one second, I'll get back to this.